Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It's February 26th. It's Saturday morning at about 9:30 Central Time. I'm going to do a market report using HDSI Investor, and I may look at Thinkorswim too, depending on the time I have. I don't want to spend a lot of time doing this. I know you're inundated with market reports, and I'm not going to give you opinions. I'm just going to show you reality, I hope. Here is my standard risk disclaimer. If I happen to mention any securities or anything, I'm just pointing out what I see, and I'm not recommending anything. So trade at your own risk. We know that there is a chance to lose a lot of money or make a lot of money in the markets. If you're correct, you can make a lot of money. If you're wrong, you can lose a lot. So you all know that. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll get this out of the way. What I'm going to do is open the designer if you use an HDSI, and if you have my files, open the designer, find a folder called Market Analysis User Group. Now, yours may not be near the top. If you have a bunch of other user groups, it's going to be alphabetical. But open it up, go to the Major Markets Plus folder, which includes ETFs, and click through to the Warehouse view. In the Warehouse, go under my name, click the top view. What this one does, it shows the major markets with no ETFs. Actually, there is one ETF in here. It's VTI, which is a total stock market ETF. But if you go down to number 2, it's going to show you a different view with a bunch of other ETFs in here. And the reason I do this is I like to see what's happening in with other things like silver, gold, and so on. But I'm going to go back up to this to isolate the major markets, and I'm going to click on the NASDAQ Composite. Now down below, I have 3 charts. The chart that I'm using under market charts is this one, using this one first. But I have this layout where I have a daily chart, a weekly chart, and this is another weekly chart. Actually, I want to change this to a different chart. I'm going to go into my daily analysis charts. I'm going to click on 1A, and the reason I do this is it shows me the relationship of price to moving averages. And so I get a perspective. I can clearly see that the NASDAQ is still in a downtrend, even after 2 strong days yesterday. But let's start with this view here. I'm going to make it full screen. I'm going to get an arrow up here, and I'm going to point some things out. So yesterday, volume was less than average, the spread's above average, the close is very high, which is this bar right here. These are Wyckoff indicators that have been incorporated into HDSI. I don't use the RWA, the random walk trends. The best fit long trend is still up. The medium is down and the short is up. But we're going to take a look at trends from a different perspective. Accumulation is neutral. We're still down 15.5% from the 52-week high and up 10.5% from the 52-week low. From the beginning of the year, it's down 12.5%. Okay, let's see what else here. Got a Bongo Daily Yes, which is a short-term internal relative strength indicator. The trend is neither up nor down according to my fan, which is in the middle chart. This is the last open, close, and so on. Look at this. Even with such a big day yesterday, let me see. I may be wrong about this. No, that's correct. This shows the last day only. I was thinking about another indicator I'm going to bring up here. So volume was down 7.8% from the 90-day moving average. Now, when I get rid of that and hit my alternate I key, I can bring up an information window here I'll put it down here, and we can actually see the number of advancing stocks. Now this is on the wrong day. That's what I was afraid of. I have to click on that, and now I'm on 225. Advancing stocks 2428, decliners 856. So even if it's such a massive day yesterday, these it's about what 3 times 8, 3 to 1. Unchanged 136. Here's the volume in billions, and new highs 35, new lows 39. Index arms is on a buy. That's over here. Here's the new highs, new lows, and you can see the advancing versus declining volume. This peaked on Thursday, and then Friday the advancing volume peaked, and then it came down on Friday. Here's your advancers versus decliners right here. Now I'm going to go to a different chart. Just going to go down to my daily analysis charts. I'm going to go to my number 2 chart, which is just a plain candlestick chart with VPA flags in it. And once again, I'm going to bring up a drawing tool. This is the way I look at the NASDAQ. Okay, here's the high. Before this high was established, we had a nice trend up, a pullback. This is obviously a higher low than this low right here, so the market was still trending. We went out to a higher high, so the trend is still intact. In fact, it remains intact until, let's see, we pull back here, and this is a lower low. And then when it tried to rally, it could not take out this area up here. So this is a lower high. Down here, this is a slightly lower low, almost a double bottom here. Tried to rally up. It did take this out slightly, but it failed. And then what happened? Came down and established a lower low. Then a lower high, then this high up here, and it just kept falling, came all the way down here, and established this lower low. Then we had a rally. These are negative candles. You can see there was selling into that, but then it rallied, came up here, it formed a higher high. It formed a high here. Then it pulled back, and it looked like it was going to break past this and form a higher high, but it didn't. That was resistance. Came back down, and what happened? It sold off and formed a lower low. Now for this market to really turn from a downtrend to an uptrend, what I'd like to see is this. It may continue up a little bit, but then pull back and establish a higher low. And then when that low is established, if it starts trending up and takes out whatever the high is in this area somewhere, then the trend will be reversed. But until then, this market, or the composite anyway, is in a downtrend, in my opinion. Another thing, yesterday, even though there are some positive VPA flags, which are right there and right here, which are based upon these candles, valid VPA flags. Look at the volume reversal here on this huge reversal day, and then look how the volume fell off yesterday. Now the market was up, it was kind of all over the place, and then there was a crazy rumor established or put out that Russia was backing off and leaving Ukraine, which anybody would know would be false, or knew was false, if you know anything about Putin. But that gave the market an excuse to rally and push the shorts out of their position, push them higher, and this is where we stand right now. Now I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to take this chart back down to size. Let's look over here. I'll bring this up. You can see that the fan, which I use. This is the this is a 200, this is a 100, this is a 50, this is the 18. The fan is still down. For this fan to turn up, the 18 is going to have to go above all of these, and the 100 is going to have to remain above the 200. The 50 is going to have to be up. It's going to have to be 18, 50, 100, and 200. Yes, that is late getting into the market, no question about it. And you don't have to wait to get into the market. Now what I'm going to show you next, after I look at the weekly chart, let's look at the weekly chart. You can see that the trend is clearly down on the weekly chart. We're going to have to get up here and form a, here's the low, it's going to have to form a high up here and then pull back and then shoot through this area, resistance here, to go into an uptrend. But like I said, that is not necessary if you want to play. I'm going to show you something in this. I put out a tutorial video yesterday. I'm going to send out on this too, showing how we can use some of the Wyckoff indicators that were put into the program, and I created filters for them. It's going to use these columns here: volume, spread, and close. So I'm going to concentrate on that rather than making this a very lengthy report. I hate listening to lengthy reports, and I'm sure you do too. So what I'm going to do is go up here to the industry groups, and then I want to change my warehouse view. I'm just going to go down here to my daily prospecting scans. I'm going to go to the end of the day. Let's see if this works on that. I'll click through, and you can see that the industry groups come through, and these columns show where the strength was. Now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to drop down here to what I call my Wyckoff demand and supply scans. Click on demand, 0-1, higher volume, wider spread. Now remember, I am doing this with the HCSI industry groups, and let's see how many of these indexes passed the filter, and it looks like 59 of them did. Now the combo is wider spread on higher volume. It's a demand combo, and this shows me the groups that are in most demand. Now you're going to see that a lot of these are the same, but that just means there was demand for all of these groups. So I'm going to bring up the first group. Let's minimize the designer. And what is this? Agricultural Chemicals Index. You can see how strong the demand was in this group the past 2 days. Now, of course, this is end of day as I'm doing this right now. But you can run a full update intraday, or you can run a rebuild these indexes intraday to see where the demand is, and I'll do that in a different webinar sometime, or video. Anyway, so we have agricultural chemicals index with huge demand. You can see that it crossed over back here, the 3 crossed the 6. It did pull back for 1 day, and then it's taking off again. Here's the group up here, agricultural chemicals, and this obviously is the group chart, and here is the monthly. Let's just go into the industry group, and you can see that all of these stocks were in heavy demand. So NTR was up 4.8%. LUX was up 6.9%. If you look at these charts, you can see that they have been trending up. The demand has been in here. Look at the demand on all of these. So this indicator, which is based upon higher volume and wider spread, and the close comes into play with the combo, you can see where the strength was. Now, of course, defense primes are going to be high on the list because Wall Street thinks that war is good for the defense primes. And I saw this when the Iraq War started. I thought, this would be hard on the market. Just the opposite. The market took off, and everybody, not everybody, but traders were buying into the fact that we were heading into Iraq. And we all know how that turned out. Okay, so defense primes, let's just change to the industry group. Lockheed, just going to flip through these. If you look at the chart down the lower right, Huntington, Ingalls, General Dynamics, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman. Kind of sickening, isn't it? I mean, this is where the money is flowing. They see opportunities in defense stocks. It's all about the money. I guess I'm injecting some of my personal opinions in here, but it's reality. So that's it's what it is. Information services, very high, above average, very high. This is a group that's been beaten down, but look at these last two candles on here. Steel producers, steels were up sharply yesterday. They rallied sharply on Thursday and followed through yesterday on high demand. Let's go into the industry group. You can look at Timken. Gerdau, I believe is how you pronounce it. United States Steel. MT. And so on down the list. You can do this yourself if you have my files. Just do this and go through these yourself, and you'll see how much demand there was and where the demand was. Now I hear analysts and read analysts. They're all predicting. I'm not into prediction because I don't think anybody can really predict where the market's going. When volatility is low, things are steady, the market's climbing, it's pretty easy to figure out where the market's going. But in times like this, it's nearly impossible. There's just too many cross currents. So for now, just how I look at the composite. I do that for the major indexes, and the trend currently is still down, but it could reverse to its upside easily next week. It just we don't know.